I'm demonstrating for you how to create your revised final resume using a template that I am providing. Again, you'll see the instructions are there are many ways to write your resume. This activity will help you create a draft of your resume using either the Resume Builder tool in the U.S. Department of Defense website called myfuture.com. That is this information right here. Here is the instructions to use myfuture.com, and here is the recording to help you walk you through how to do that. Or you can choose to edit the template included in the assignment, which is right here, and then I will put this recording right below it. Or you can choose to use a resume builder that you found during your research. After drafting the resume, you'll review your resume using a rubric titled Evaluating Your Resume that will be included down here. And using that resume result, the rubric results, you'll revise your work. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the template that I have provided. It's going to download into the bottom of my screen. I click on it, enable edit, and open it up. Now, these instructions here are the same that I just read to you, that you can either build your resume using myfuture.com website, or you can edit this template, or you can choose a resume builder that you found during your research. Make sure after you create your resume that you use the rubric to help you decide if your resume is up to snuff. Follow the instructions below to draft your resume. Scroll to the bottom of the activity and see the template included. So as I scroll down, here is the template. You'll see it includes your name and contact, your objective, education, experiences, community service, so on and so forth. It's all right there. So I scroll back up. Number one, so I did number one. Number two, in order to include your information, you will first need to highlight the placeholder and then directly type your own personal information. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to highlight your name and I'm going to type my name right there. You don't have to hit delete, just simply highlight and type in. Next is address and phone. And I'm going to separate that with that, and then I'm going to type my email address in here. Remember, when you're typing your email address, it must be a professional, so you can use your school's email address because it is professional, or if you have one of your own that's professional enough, you certainly can use it as well. Now, come down here to objective, come back up here to find out the instructions. Copy and paste or type your career objective that we wrote and saved into our senior capstone folder into the placeholder. So yesterday in class we wrote our career objective. So I'm going to go grab mine and I'm going to insert it here. So again, I went into my capstone folder and I copied, and now I'm going to paste my career objective here. So I'm going to highlight first, don't delete, just simply highlight, and then paste it in there. Now, you're going to want to make sure that this is all formatted the same using the same font, which should be either Times New Roman or Arial, and size 12 for everything except for your contact information. Remember, that can be a little bit different. So I need to reformat that to be Times New Roman in size 12. So my objective, to get a job in the Willoughby East Lake School District as a high school business teacher, while I'll bring experience both in the classroom and real life. I better reword this. Patience, knowledge of my curriculum, and love for my students. Now it's time for my education. So I'm going to put first my my most recent high school first. So for you guys, it will be Insight School of Ohio. And by the way, when you come up here, it says, when completing the education sections, remember to add all experiences. So if you have more than one school, make sure you include it. Remember to list your most recent or current education first, which for all of you is Insight School of Ohio, which is located at 2760 Airport Drive, Columbus, Ohio. So I come back down here to the education part, and I highlight, and I just simply type the name of my high school. And then I come over here and I type in the city and state. Highlight. And then the years that I attended. Again, you can do start dates to end dates. So I could do September. Remember, you want to not abbreviate. So September of it was long ago. Sorry, 1979 through June. I know it's a long time ago, of 1982. I got my high school diploma. Describe any major accomplishments or activities such as GPA. Remember, if that's above a 3.2, important classes, teams, and clubs. So I would include things like I was a co-captain and then I would put the dates. For instance, you could include, again, remember to use your bullet points. You can include any school activities that you were involved in, your GPA, so if that was anticipated graduation month and year. So for you guys, again, you're going to highlight and you're going to write June. There we go. Okay, so list any accomplishments that you might have had during your education. If you're on the honor roll, include it. You might say honor roll. Maybe you were at one point in an old high school, maybe you were a member of the academic team, something like that. Okay. Now, if you have additional high school that you attended, you simply could do this. And then fill in any additional schooling that you've had. Remember, most recent first, later last. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of that. Next is experience. So if you have a job now, you'll list it first. Remember, reverse chronological order. So I'm going to stop and go ahead and fill in this information. Okay, so I went ahead and filled in my first work experience at Insight School of Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, 2015 to present. I was a high school teacher. I am a high school teacher. That is my job title. Then it's asking you to describe 2 to 3 duties in detail. Now again, 2 to 3. So I taught approximately 150 students per semester with 92% accuracy, meaning 92% of my students passed my class last semester. I adjusted curriculum per student's needs. I incurred 0 behavioral issues. So anything that is that is a highlight of your experience, of your work experience, include it. So I have additional work experience. So I'm going to go ahead and include that here. I'm going to include my experience at Kids in Camp. And see, I'm having to make some adjustments here. I didn't include the location. So that it too is in Columbus, Ohio. And I was there from 2012 to 2015 when I started the job here. And I was the executive director. Now again, I would take time to type in 2 to 3 duties in detail. So for instance, I raised more than $100,000 in my 3 years there. I would list that here. I organized and managed over 25 events for families and fundraising events, so I would include that. So 2 to 3 duties in detail. For you guys, it might be like if you worked at McDonald's, you effectively managed the cash register during high traffic times. Remember, use active verbs to describe your duties. And then community service, volunteer work, or additional skills. If you don't have any community service, delete it. If you don't have any volunteer work, delete it. Now, if you do have additional skills, keep in mind soft skills, you would list those here. So maybe you are patient. Oops. Maybe you are willing to learn more about career. Remember, we are not writing full sentences when we're using bullet points. We are simply stating in few words that additional skill or whatever the case might be. So for you guys, again, thinking about those soft skills, if you don't have any skills that pertain to your specific career that you're applying for, again, remember keeping in mind those soft skills that we talked about, like being on time, being very responsible, communicate well, so on and so forth. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm going to view my entire resume by going to view and then one page, and I want to look at it in one page so that I can see, is it laid out? So do I have the correct amount of space in between topics? Look here, I have an extra space in here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that additional space so that I do have the correct amount of space in between each topic. I'm going to proofread. I'm going to run and make sure that everything is correct within my resume. So to allow to review the spelling and punctuation and such, I'm going to click on Review, Spelling and Grammar, and then it's going to find issues that I have within my resume. So you see here it's telling me that the word your is incorrect. Your most recent, nope, that's correct, so I'm going to ignore it. And it's going to continue on to find any additional errors that I might have. It's telling me that that's an error, but they have no suggestions, but it's really not an error. So I'm going to ignore it. Oh, here's one, Dropbox. I'm going to go ahead and click on it and change it, so on and so forth. So now you're going to go ahead and save your document. You can save this entire thing, by the way, by going to File, Save As. I'm going to save it into my my transition portfolio, and I'm going to name it with my first name, my last name, the word resume, and then the date that I created it. Remember, we want this to be professional so that when we attach it to an email, they see the name and what it is in the attachment section and hit save. If you have any questions or issues, please email me.